Hi, this is Julie with Peace Body. Thank you for joining me. Oh my goodness, right away, I love to say that we are in a time that is vital and important for us to show up. But what version of us do we want to show up? The scared self, the angry self, the hurt self, the victim self, the whatever self that's unresourceful. We have to be whoever we are in every moment, right? Like we can't hide our feelings, we can't push them away. That's not what I'm talking about, right? So I'm not talking about ignoring how we feel. We do, however, I believe most of us want to show up in a way that we are centered, stable, steadfast in our hearts, flowing with the Spirit of God, flowing with our higher selves, whatever that feels for you. Most importantly, that we are making decisions from a place of calm. And when I say that, your or my mind might go to somebody or the times that we aren't calm or someone else right now who are making decisions out of strong emotion. And right now I want to say, let's for a moment, let it all, those thoughts, give attention to them and say, for just right now, let's entertain the idea that we're just speaking about ourselves, that everybody else is taken care of, that we can take this moment just to go and contemplate and be focused on how we are inside of ourselves, being responsible for ourselves, what's going on inside of us, inside of you, and just going over that. So not looking at anyone else right now, but just seeing in your own center, what's it feel like in there? And how, or maybe the word isn't how, but would you like to be in a place, a space, a state of being that you can go to, that you can rely on, that is able to feel like a rock to stand on, right? So if you don't have that, that's what we're wanting to do. That's what myself and many other people would, well, I don't know if many other people, but people talk the talk, but let's walk the walk and go and see if we can remain in this calmness, no matter what's going on around us. And to maintain it doesn't mean we're not going to be riveted out of it when something drastic happens, something really elicits our fight or flight or fright. We are going to react because we're wired to. However, if we're in the practice of cultivating calm and feeling the love in us and really going there, putting down judgment, and blame and all the other thoughts, and being able to focus on the ones that are resourceful, if we have the practice of doing that in times that aren't catapulting you all around, then that's even better. However, it's like making the agreement, the choice, the intention to just have the idea to start there of having this as a possibility, of not being used by our emotions and our feelings, but to have them and see them for what they are and know how to not be in a place of discomfort for so long, okay, and that having that chronic stress, the stress that eats people up, causes illness, does a lot of cellular damage over time, right? Inflammation. So we have enough of that, right? So we're, traversing this world with so much going on, right? And so you start to list all the things that can cause inflammation, that can cause, from pollution to what's in our food to the list goes on and on. So a certain point, end of the day, for me, how I have handled all of that and the commotion and release is not to ignore it or say it doesn't exist, to say if we believe that there is something, a higher power, that if it's all powerful, why are we placing limits on what God can do or what that infinite power of all love can do? Because God is love, and we're going to be going through a lot of change. Everybody knows that, and you're feeling it, right? You're seeing it all. Change is happening all the time anyway. So what can be the most beneficial thing to help us and so that we can thrive and not just survive or being reactive? And I know it's easy to say, different thing to do, especially if you're not in the practice. Again, it's like, well, what does that mean, Julie? Okay, so practicing non-judgment, really what it comes down to, and being calm. So going from fear or strong emotion, anger, hurt, being in your programmed self and your hurt self and your child self and the victim self, whatever it is, we start there. We don't judge that either. We're just acknowledging that if we want to be part of the transformation of the planet in a positive way, you know the rule. What you put in, you get out. So if we're putting in fear, anger, and people talk about judgment, and sometimes it's good to have judgment, let's talk about the energy of things, because how people feel it. So if you're in a room and someone has judgment towards you, if you're sensitive at all, most people are at least a little bit sensitive, and if not, then of course not everybody is, I get that, but the majority of you're going to know when somebody has negative feelings towards you. You're going to feel it, even if they say nothing, even if they're not even looking at you sometimes, right? And then you have the other side of that, is that we personalize everything. So somebody might be in a bad mood and could not even be thinking about you, and we're thinking, oh, because you're picking up on their strong emotion or their indifference and internalizing it. So it's both sides of a coin there. The thing is that we are called to be ourselves, our authentic selves. We're called to do what we came here to do. And if we're being so distracted by the news, by, yes, real things that are happening in the world, it's still a possibility for it to pull you off of what your absolute creative power and genius that is needed. And part of that is being in an elevated state. And so if you aren't able to do that, it's okay. That's why I'm talking, and that's why I want to get other people that have the slightest hope and notion of a positive, bright future, even one that could happen tomorrow. Like, even if you you don't have a vision of it like I do, seeing this beautiful future, but you can just even have the slightest imagination, using your imagination, that it's possible, even the slightest hope. If any of you, if you fall into that category, that yes, you know that there's a good future, or that you want to believe it, and that you're open to the idea of spending time imagining and praying for and believing that it's possible, like the idea of getting yourself to a place that could be possible for you to believe that it's possible, and that you are willing or interested in the idea of fostering that state of being in yourself, that you're at that elevated place. And how do you do that? Because so many of us, and myself included, up until now, I feel like I've been preparing for this my whole life, literally. So, and the time is now, and the time is now for you. So if you're hearing this, you understanding what I'm saying, that it's time for you to step up and elevate and vibrate loudly and brightly, that because how your energy affects others, it affects the world, it affects nature, it affects animals, it affects your children if you have them in the house, anyone in your living space and in your workspace, even on the phone, in the meetings. What you're putting off, right, affects others. We need to start being responsible for that, not feeling guilty or judging yourself. But if that's how you feel, go there and get curious. Get curious about why you'd be feeling guilty. The point is not living in there. So doing something, so many people, if you have a therapist, is that working for you? then you should be getting better, I hope, over time. But want something you could work with them and other people that see that are doing it. So that are in that even kill, that they're not dipping down too low, okay? And they're not way out of proportion of reality, that they're still looking at reality. They're not having their head in the sand. That we're looking at the present, at where we are, where others are, what's obvious, what's in front of our faces, in our home, in our business, and wherever it is out in the world, that we can see it, but that in return, when we're looking at that, we're not looking at our own weakness, our own survival, our own vulnerability, our own pain points. So if you want my suggestion, just a suggestion, that if we want to be abreast of the news in the world, because so many people feel that it's their responsibility to know what's going on in the world, but the news, the media, creates this low level, continual bombardment of anxiety, making people feel anxious, scared, pushing buttons so that you go back and watch more. However, it's bringing you down, okay? Even if you're not noticing it, it might be revving you up in anger, making you cry. I'm not saying we're not to have feelings or not to care. Not what I'm saying at all. But did you know that you can care and love and be of service without feeling like your heart's being trampled on? That is actually a possibility. I'm doing it, and it is something that I would like to be of service to help others to also be able to be centered, be calm, come together, see a positive future, not worried, but also be seeing where they are currently, where the world is, not being in a limited state of mind as much as possible, that there's no conditions that have to be met to do what's in our hearts. Because if it came to us hearts into our heart, if it came to us inspired, that God put something in our heart, then it means that it's possible. So having discernment, having the attitude change, it's difficult to do if you're scared, if you have a lot of unfinished business, a lot of forgiveness that one needs to do. So lots of things about that. And so I'd love to further that discussion. But I just right now, I'm looking for people with a shared vision of a bright future that you can feel though right now, that you embody it now. And so it's important, and that's my message. So I'd love for you to contact me, and let's bring people together and start creating from the space of love, of non-judgment, of an elevated state, also that encompasses all, and seeing what is here, but not being limited by right now. Realizing that anything can happen. And it's not law of attraction. This isn't a fake it till you make it. This is embodying being really in touch with your eternal self, with the bigger presence, the higher power. As you feel that when you tap in. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. To me, that's what that means. Tapped in, baby, tapped in. So I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Have a good day or night.